Imagine you're sitting at a bar. You notice a woman across the room. She's exactly your type. You think about going over there. You actually stand up, and then you sit back down. Not tonight. Maybe you're not dressed right. Maybe you're not feeling yourself. Maybe you tell yourself, you'll do it the next time you see someone like her. So you sit there, and eventually, you watch her walk out the door. And the frustrating part isn't even that she rejected you. She never got the chance to, because you were waiting for that feeling. That little moment where you suddenly felt confident enough to walk over there, but it never came. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe we've been expecting confidence to show up before we give ourselves permission to act. And once you start looking for it, you realize how often this happens outside of dating. You put off that job because you don't feel ready. You don't start that project because you don't think it's good enough yet. You don't make the change because you're waiting to become the person who can make it. And eventually you realize you're not waiting for the right opportunity. You're waiting for yourself to feel different. And I understand that. I know I felt that way once. I thought confidence was something you were supposed to have before you took a risk. Like some guys were just born with it, and the rest of us had to somehow find it. But the older I've gotten, the more I've started to question that. Because what if confidence doesn't come before you take the leap? What if it comes because you took it? What if you've been waiting for a feeling that was never supposed to come first? I want to show you why. I remember times in my own life when I didn't feel particularly confident about where I was going. And I think that's something a lot of us are afraid to admit, because from the outside, confidence can look so simple. You see the guy who walks into a room like he belongs there. He talks to women without seeming nervous. He knows what he wants. He takes chances. And you think, how does he do that? But you don't see what's happening inside his head. You don't know if he's nervous. You don't know if he's questioning himself. You don't know if he's terrified of looking stupid. He just learned how to move while those feelings are there. And the distinction changed the way I think about confidence. There's a book called The Confidence Gap by Russ Harris that really fits this idea. One of the things I like about the book is that it challenges the idea that you have to get rid of fear before you can act. Because I think about how backwards that would make our lives if you waited until you weren't afraid to do anything difficult. How much would you actually do? I know for me, there have been plenty of times where I wanted to do something, but I was waiting to feel different first, waiting to feel more certain, more prepared, more confident. And sometimes that feeling never came. The only thing that changed was that eventually I got tired of waiting, and I did it anyway. That's especially true when it comes to dating. I think a lot of guys believe confidence means knowing that a woman is going to like you before you approach her. But that's not confidence. That's certainty. And you can't have certainty when you're dealing with another human being. You don't know what she's going to think. You don't know if she's attracted to you. You don't know if she's going to say yes. And honestly, that's what makes it uncomfortable. I know I've had moments where I wanted to approach somebody, and I could feel myself thinking about every possible outcome. What if she rejects me? What if I say something stupid? What if she thinks I'm weird? And eventually, you realize something. You're trying to solve a problem that hasn't even happened yet. And you're letting a hypothetical rejection stop you from experiencing a real possibility. That's not confidence. That's fear making decisions for you. And here's where I think we get confidence completely wrong. We think confident people don't get nervous. I don't think that's true. I think confident people have simply accumulated enough evidence that they can handle being nervous. They've been rejected before. They've embarrassed themselves before. They've failed before. They've started over before. And every time they survived it, they learned something. Okay, that didn't kill me. I can handle that. That's where confidence starts becoming real. Not in your imagination, in your experience. And I think there's another side of this that we don't talk about enough. You have to trust yourself. And I don't mean that in some giant inspirational way. I mean something much simpler. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, do you believe yourself? If you say you're going to get up tomorrow morning and take care of yourself, do you actually do it? If you tell yourself you're done chasing someone who doesn't want you, can you actually walk away? If you say you're finally going to start that thing you've been talking about, do you start? Because every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and then don't, you notice. Maybe nobody else notices, but you do. And slowly, you start losing trust in yourself. I've felt that before. You start knowing that you're capable of more, but you're not showing yourself that you're capable of following through. And that's a horrible feeling. Because deep down, you know the problem isn't that you don't have potential, it's that you don't trust yourself to use it. So maybe confidence doesn't start with believing you're amazing. Maybe it starts much smaller. You make a promise to yourself, and you keep it. You tell yourself you're going to do something uncomfortable, and you do it. You have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, and you have it. You walk away from something that's hurting you, even though part of you wants to go back. And every time you do that, you teach yourself something. I can trust me. That's a completely different feeling from somebody else telling you you're confident. Because nobody can give you that. They can compliment you. They can tell you you're attractive. They can tell you you're talented. They can tell you you're going to succeed. But if you don't believe yourself, none of that lasts very long. And I think that's why rejection can hit men so hard. Because sometimes we're not just hearing, I'm not interested. We're hearing, you're not good enough. And those aren't the same thing. A woman not choosing you doesn't mean you're undesirable. It means she didn't choose you. That's it. You can be a great man and still be the wrong man for somebody. I know that sounds obvious. But emotionally, it's not always easy to believe. I've had to learn that myself. Because when you really like somebody, their opinions start carrying more weight. And suddenly one person's decision can make you question everything about yourself. Your appearance, your personality, your confidence, your worth. But your worth cannot be something another person gets to hand you and then take away. Maybe that's why I like the idea behind the confidence gap so much. Because the goal isn't to become a man who never feels fear. The goal is to stop requiring the absence of fear before you live your life. That's huge. Because you're probably going to be nervous. You're probably going to doubt yourself. There are going to be moments where your heart is beating a little faster than you'd like. There are going to be times where you walk away from something thinking, I have no idea if that was the right decision. That's okay. You don't need to know. You just need to know that you'll deal with whatever happens next. And I think about this with my own life too. There have been plenty of moments where I didn't feel ready. And if I'd waited until I felt completely ready, I don't know how much I would have ever done. Even making these videos. There's something uncomfortable about putting yourself out there. You hear your own voice. You watch yourself back. You wonder what people are going to think. And at some point, you have a choice. You can keep asking yourself whether you're ready, or you can hit record. And eventually, you realize confidence comes from doing, not thinking about doing, not planning to do, not imagining yourself doing it, doing it. And maybe you're watching this because there's something in your own life you've been putting off. Maybe it's dating. Maybe it's your career. Maybe there's something you've wanted to create. Maybe you've been unhappy with yourself for a while. And you keep telling yourself you're going to change. But you're waiting for the right version of yourself to show up first. Let's go back to the bar for a second. Remember that guy? He's sitting there again. He sees her. He starts thinking about whether he should go over. And for once, he doesn't wait for the feeling to change. He's still nervous. He still doesn't know what he's going to say. He just gets up and he walks over. Maybe she likes him. Maybe she doesn't. Maybe they have a great conversation. Or maybe it's awkward. It doesn't really matter. Because this time, fear didn't make the decision for him. And I think that's what confidence actually looks like. Not knowing if you're going to get the outcome you want, but being willing to find out anyway. Because you don't need to know how the story ends before you're willing to turn the page. Because maybe the confident version of you isn't waiting somewhere in the future. Maybe you're building him every time you do something you're afraid to do. Every time you keep a promise to yourself. Every time you take a chance. Every time you get rejected and realize you're still standing. Every time you're scared. And you move anyway. And maybe that's the real difference between confidence and pretending. Pretending says, I hope nobody notices that I'm nervous. Confidence says, I'm nervous and I'm going anyway. Pretending says, I hope she likes me. Confidence says, I hope she likes me too. But if she doesn't, I'll be okay. Pretending says, I need everything to work out. Confidence says, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'll figure it out. And I think the last one is the kind of confidence worth having, because life is never going to give you certainty. Dating won't, your career won't, relationships won't, your future won't. So if you're waiting for certainty before you move, you're going to be waiting forever. So stop waiting to feel confident. You don't have to become somebody completely different tomorrow. Just give yourself one reason to trust yourself. Do the thing you've been putting off. Have the conversation. Take the chance. Put yourself out there. And if it doesn't work, you'll survive. And if it embarrasses you, you'll survive that too. And if she says no, you'll wake up the next morning still being you. And that's something I wish I had understood much earlier. You don't need to know that everything is going to work out. You just need to know you'll be okay if it doesn't. Because maybe confidence isn't walking into a room believing you're the best man there. Maybe it's walking into that room not needing to be. Maybe confidence is believing everybody will choose you. It's knowing that even when somebody doesn't, you won't abandon yourself. And maybe becoming the best version of yourself isn't about finally becoming fearless. Maybe it's becoming the kind of man who feels the fear, looks at it, and says, "Come with me, because I'm going anyway." If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to The Gentleman's Project for more honest conversations on dating, confidence, and becoming the best version of yourself. And let me ask you this. What's something you've been waiting to feel confident enough to do? Maybe it's something you've been putting off for months. Maybe it's something you've been putting off for years. Leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.